The massive alien ship moved through space like a dark mountain. Its black hull was covered in sharp edges and glowing red lines. The ship belonged to the Zephyrian Honor Guard, the most feared warriors in the entire galaxy. They had never lost a battle. They had never met a species that could stand against them. War Commander Thexaval stood on the bridge of his warship. He was 7 feet tall, with skin that looked like blue crystal. His forearms ended in claws that could cut through steel. 2 rows of sharp teeth filled his mouth. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding rocks. "Approaching the human station," said his pilot. "The Deathworld species awaits our arrival." Thexaval nodded. He had read the reports about this planet called Earth. It was a horrible place where everything tried to kill everything else. The humans who lived there were small and weak. They had no claws, no natural armor, no poison. Yet somehow they had survived on their nightmare world. The other species in the galaxy called them Deathworlders. It was not meant as a compliment. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human station," reported his communications officer. "Put it through," Thexaval ordered. The screen flickered and showed a human male. He had brown hair and calm blue eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform with gold stripes on the shoulders. "Welcome to Space Station Liberty," the human said. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Corps. We are honored by your visit." Thexaval studied the human carefully. Morrison showed no fear. His heart rate appeared normal. His voice was steady. This surprised the war commander. Most species trembled when they first met the Zephyrian Honor Guard. "I am War Commander Thexaval," he replied. "We have come to witness your species join the Galactic Federation. Show us your military strength so we may judge if you are worthy." Morrison smiled. "Of course, War Commander. We have prepared something special for you. We would like to share one of our most important military traditions." Thexaval's eyes narrowed. Every species tried to impress the Honor Guard with their weapons and armies. The humans probably had some crude projectile weapons or primitive energy guns to display. "Very well," Thexaval said. "We will observe your demonstration." The alien warship docked with the human station. Thexaval and 6 of his best warriors stepped through the airlock. The humans had built their station to accommodate different species. The ceilings were high enough for the tall Zephyrians. Captain Morrison waited for them with 2 other humans. One was a woman with short red hair wearing the same blue uniform. The other was a man with dark skin and sergeant stripes on his sleeves. "May I introduce Lieutenant Amy Collins and Sergeant Rick Davis," Morrison said. Collins stepped forward. "Welcome aboard, War Commander. We hope you will find our tradition." "Interesting." Thexaval noticed something odd. The human seemed excited rather than nervous. Collins was actually smiling. Davis looked like he was trying not to laugh about something. "What weapons will you show us?" asked Subcommander Vextar, one of Thexaval's warriors. "Oh, we are not showing you weapons exactly," Morrison replied. "We are showing you something much more important, something that explains who we are as a people." The humans led the Zephyrians through the station corridors. Other humans stopped their work to watch the aliens pass. Children pressed their faces against viewing windows to get a better look. None of them seemed afraid. This bothered Thexaval more than he wanted to admit. Fear was a useful tool. It made negotiations easier. It prevented unnecessary conflicts. But these humans looked at his warriors like they were curious visitors rather than deadly predators. They reached a large observation deck with floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, the blue and green planet Earth slowly turned below them. It looked peaceful from space, but Thexaval knew better. The report said Earth had survived multiple mass extinctions. The life forms there fought constantly for survival. "Please make yourselves comfortable," Morrison said, gesturing to specially built chairs that could support the Zephyrians' larger frames. Collins moved to a control panel. "We are coordinating with ground control now. The demonstration will begin soon." "What exactly are we going to see?" Thexaval demanded. Morrison's expression grew serious. "Today is a very special day for humans. It is called Independence Day. On this day, we remember when our ancestors chose to fight the most powerful empire they had ever known, rather than surrender to them. Thexval's translator struggled with some of the words. Fighting, instead of surrendering when facing superior force, was not a concept that existed in most galactic languages. You chose war over peace? Sub-Commander Kexmore asked in disbelief. We chose freedom over safety, Morrison replied. Our ancestors were farmers and merchants and common people. They faced the greatest military in their world. Everyone told them they could not win. Everyone said they should submit and accept their fate. Davis spoke up. But they fought anyway. They said some things were more important than living safely. The Zephyrians exchanged glances. This made no sense. Survival was the highest priority for any intelligent species. Why would anyone choose a fight they could not win? Collins called, out from her station. Sunset is beginning on the Eastern Hemisphere. Preparations are complete across all continents. Morrison turned to the aliens. What you are about to see happens every year on this date. Every human on Earth participates. It is how we honor our ancestors who chose the hard path. Thexval looked down at the planet below. He could see lights beginning to appear as the day side moved toward night. Cities glowed like jewels against the darkness. I do not understand, he said. What kind of military demonstration can your entire population perform? Morrison smiled again, but this time there was something different in his expression. Something that made Thexval's skin prickle with unease. You will see, War Commander. You will see what Deathworlders call tradition. War Commander Thexval pressed his face closer to the observation window. Below on Earth's surface, something strange was happening. In every city he could see crowds of humans were gathering. But these were not armies or soldiers. These were ordinary people. What are they doing? Sub-Commander Vextar asked, pointing at the growing crowds with one of his clawed hands. Captain Morrison joined them at the window. They are preparing for the tradition. Every year, families come together on this day. Grandparents and children, neighbors and friends. Everyone participates. Lieutenant Collins looked up from her control station. Ground control reports full participation across all continents. North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, South America. Even the research stations in Antarctica are ready. Thexval's crystalline skin shifted from blue to a darker shade. His species changed color when they felt confused or threatened. Research stations? You include your scientists in military demonstrations? Everyone participates, Morrison repeated. That is the point of the tradition. Sergeant Davis activated a large display screen on the wall. It showed feeds from cameras all around Earth. The Zephyrians could see massive crowds in places they recognized from their briefings. New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Cairo, Sydney. In each city, humans filled the streets and parks and rooftops. But what disturbed the aliens most was what the humans were carrying. Small rectangular objects, cylindrical tubes, and strange devices that looked nothing like weapons. Those are not military equipment, observed Sub-Commander Kexmore. No, Morrison agreed. They are fireworks. The translator in Thexval's ear made harsh clicking sounds as it tried to process the word. Finally, it produced a rough translation. Explosive devices for celebration. Explosives? Thexval's voice rose to a threatening growl. Your civilians possess explosives? Collins laughed, which made all the Zephyrians take a step back. The E sound was too confident, too fearless. Not just possess them, she said. They bought them. They planned for this day all year. Children saved their allowance money to buy fireworks. Adults plan elaborate displays for their neighborhoods. Some cities spend millions of credits on coordinated shows. The aliens stared at her in horror. A species that gave explosive devices to their young was beyond their understanding. Morrison noticed their shock. Perhaps I should explain the history. Dr. Lisa Martinez, our station xenobiologist, prepared a briefing about the origins of Independence Day. A new human appeared on the observation deck. She was a woman with long black hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. She carried a datapad and smiled warmly at the towering aliens. War Commander Thexval, it is an honor to meet you, Dr. Martinez said. I hope I can help you understand what makes this day so special to humans. Thexval nodded stiffly. He was beginning to suspect this would not be a normal weapons demonstration. Dr. Martinez activated a holographic display that showed Earth as it appeared several hundred years ago. Long ago, humans lived under the rule of a great empire. The British Empire controlled vast territories across our world. They had the most powerful navy, the best trained armies, and advanced weapons. The display showed maps of the empire at its height. Red areas covered much of the planet. Some humans lived in colonies far from the empire's center. Martinez continued. These colonists were farmers, merchants, craftsmen, simple people who just wanted to live their lives in peace. Sub-Commander Vextar leaned forward. What happened? The empire demanded more taxes, more control. They sent soldiers to enforce their will, and the colonists faced a choice. Martinez paused dramatically. Submit to the empire's demands, or fight. Surely they submitted, Kexmore said. Fighting an empire would be suicide. Martinez smiled the same disturbing smile Morrison had shown earlier. They chose to fight. The holographic display changed to show scenes of colonial humans with primitive muskets, facing professional soldiers in red uniforms. The difference in military strength was obvious. These farmers and shopkeepers declared war on the greatest power in their world, Martinez explained. They knew they would probably lose. They knew they would probably die. But they said freedom was worth the risk. Thexval's color had shifted to deep purple, indicating extreme agitation. This is impossible. No species chooses certain death over survival. Humans do, Davis said quietly. We always have. Martinez brought up more historical images. Humans fighting against impossible odds in different time periods and places. Always outnumbered, always outgunned, always choosing to fight anyway. This pattern repeated throughout our history, she said. Humans rebelling against empires, fighting for independence, choosing dangerous freedom over safe slavery. Collins called out from her station. 10 minutes until sunset on the East Coast. All positions report ready. Morrison turned back to the aliens. What you are about to witness is how we remember that first choice. Every year on the anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, we recreate the sound of our defiance. Sound? Thexval asked. The sound of battle, Morrison replied. The thunder of cannons, the crack of muskets, the roar of explosions. We turn the sounds of war into music. We turn the memory of violence into joy. Through the observation windows, the aliens could see the crowds on Earth's surface growing larger. Parents lifted children onto their shoulders. Families spread blankets on the ground. Everyone faced the darkening sky with anticipation. Dr. Martinez put away her datapad. War Commander, what you are about to see is not just a celebration. It is a demonstration of the human spirit. We are showing you that we have taken our most terrible memories and turned them into our most precious traditions. The twilight was deepening across Earth's eastern hemisphere. In a few minutes, the demonstration would begin. Thexval realized with growing dread that he was about to learn something about humans that no Zephyrian warrior had ever encountered before. Something that might change how the galaxy viewed the small, weak species from the death world. Something that might change everything. The first explosion lit up the sky over New York City like a giant flower made of fire. Then came another, and another, until the entire eastern seaboard of North America blazed with colored light. War Commander Thexval gripped the observation window so hard his claws left scratches in the reinforced glass. Below on Earth, millions of humans were creating the largest coordinated display of controlled explosions in galactic history. And they were doing it for fun. By the void, whispered Sub-Commander Vextar. They are bombing their own planet. Not bombing, Captain Morrison corrected calmly. Celebrating. The fireworks spread across the continent as sunset moved from east to west. Each city tried to outdo the others with bigger, brighter, and more elaborate displays. Red, white, and blue dominated the colors, but gold and silver sparkled between them. The humans had turned their entire planet into a canvas for controlled warfare. Lieutenant Collins was coordinating with ground control, her voice steady and professional. Chicago reports full display active. Denver coming online now. Los Angeles. Preparing for finale sequence. Sergeant Davis pointed to one of the monitor screens. Look at that crowd in Washington. Must be 500,000 people gathered on the National Mall. The aliens watched in stunned silence as families cheered with each explosion. Children clapped their hands with delight at the thunderous sounds. Elderly humans pointed skyward with tears of joy in their eyes. I do not understand, Thexval said, his voice barely above a whisper. They are celebrating the sounds of destruction. Morrison nodded. Every boom you hear represents the cannons our ancestors fired at the British Empire. Every flash of light represents their refusal to surrender. Every explosion is a reminder that humans chose to fight rather than submit. Dr. Martinez stepped closer to the window. Watch the children, War Commander. See how they react to the sounds. Thexval focused on the families below. Human children, some barely old enough to walk, were laughing at explosions that would make most galactic species flee in terror. Toddlers reached toward the bursting lights with pure joy on their faces. Your young ones enjoy the sounds of warfare, Sub-Commander Kexmore observed, his crystalline skin now a sickly yellow color. We teach them early, Morrison replied. We want them to understand that some things are worth fighting for. That courage is a choice, not an accident. As the fireworks display moved across North America, the aliens could see the scope of what was happening. This was not just a few cities putting on a show. This was an entire continental population participating in a coordinated recreation of battle sounds. Sir, Collins called out, Europe is coming online. London is starting their display now. The monitors showed scenes from across the Atlantic. London's skyline erupted in cascades of light. Paris followed moments later, then Rome, Berlin, Madrid. Each European capital added its voice to the growing symphony of controlled explosions. How many humans are participating in this? Thexval asked. All of them, Davis answered simply. Every human settlement on Earth, every space station and lunar colony. Even our deep space exploration ships are firing ceremonial rounds in honor of the day. The Zephyrian warriors exchanged horrified glances. A species that could coordinate planetary-wide explosions just for tradition was demonstrating military organization capabilities beyond anything in their files. But why do you make it sound like war? Vextar demanded. Morrison's expression grew serious. Because that is what it was. Our ancestors faced an empire that ruled half the world. When they declared independence, they knew it meant war. They knew the empire would send armies to crush them. Martinez pulled up historical images on her datapad. The colonists had hunting rifles and farming tools. The British had professional soldiers, warships, and cannons. On paper, it was no contest. Yet they won, Collins added. Farmers and merchants and ordinary people defeated the greatest military power of their time. How? Kexmore asked. They refused to quit, Morrison said. When they lost battles, they retreated and regrouped. When their armies were scattered, they formed new ones. When their cities were captured, they fought from the wilderness. They simply would not give up. The fireworks had reached Asia now. Tokyo's display was a masterpiece of coordination, with thousands of explosions timed to create images in the sky. Mumbai followed with cascades of gold and red. Beijing's fireworks formed the shapes of ancient dragons made of light. Your entire species remembers this conflict, Thexval observed. Not just remembers, Martinez corrected. Celebrates. We take pride in the fact that our ancestors chose the hard path. We honor their memory by recreating the sounds of their struggle. Davis gestured toward the planet below. Every human down there knows the story. Every child learns about the farmers who stood up to an empire. Every family has ancestors who fought for independence, somewhere, somewhen. The aliens watched as Africa joined the display. Cairo's pyramids were silhouetted against bursting fireworks. Johannesburg lit up the southern sky. Lagos added its voice to the growing roar of celebratory explosions. You have turned warfare into art, Vextar said in amazement. We have turned the memory of courage into music, Morrison replied. Listen to the rhythm of the explosions. Watch the patterns in the sky. This is not random violence, this is a symphony dedicated to the idea that freedom is worth any price. The fireworks reached Australia now. Sydney's harbour bridge was outlined in golden light as explosions reflected off the water. The sound of the coordinated displays was becoming audible even in space, transmitted through the communication networks the humans had established. HFY realized something that chilled his warrior's heart. Every human on that planet below was voluntarily participating in creating the sound of warfare. Millions of families were gathering together to make noise that sounded like battle. They were teaching their children to find joy in explosions. "This is your most important tradition?" he asked. "One of them," Morrison said. "We have others. Bastille Day in France, where humans remember overthrowing their own government. Revolution Day in Mexico, where they remember fighting another empire. Victory Day in Russia, where they remember the greatest war in human history." Collins looked up from her console. "South America is starting now. Brazil's displays are launching from Rio." The monitor showed the Christ the Redeemer statue overlooking Rio de Janeiro as fireworks exploded around it. The sight of humans celebrating warfare beneath a religious monument was more than the Zephyrians could process. "You celebrate violence in the presence of your gods?" Kexmore asked in horror. "We celebrate courage in the presence of everything we hold sacred," Martinez replied. "Our religions, our families, our hopes for the future. All of it built on the foundation that our ancestors were willing to fight for what they believed." The global fireworks display was reaching its peak now. Every continent was participating. Every human settlement was adding its voice to the planetary chorus of controlled explosions. The sound was becoming a roar that could be heard across the vacuum of space. HFY watched his warriors' faces. The proud, undefeated honor guard of the Zephyrian Empire stood paralyzed before a species that had turned the memory of rebellion into a family celebration. He was beginning to understand that the humans were not like any species the galaxy had ever encountered. They were something entirely new. Something that might change the balance of power among the stars. Something that celebrated war, like other species, celebrated peace. The global fireworks display continued to rage across Earth's surface as Dr. Martinez moved to another control panel. She activated a new set of monitors that showed detailed views of individual celebrations around the planet. "War Commander, I want you to understand something important," she said. "What you are seeing is not just one tradition. This is how humans have learned to live with the memory of violence." The screen showed families gathered around picnic tables while explosions lit the sky above them. Children ran through parks with sparklers in their hands, leaving trails of fire behind them. Elderly humans sat in lawn chairs, their faces peaceful, as they watched the recreation of ancient battles. "On our world, survival has always required violence," Martinez explained. "Earth is what you call a death world. Everything here has evolved to kill or be killed. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, climate changes that wipe out entire species." Subcommander Vextar pointed at a monitor showing a family barbecue happening directly beneath a massive fireworks display. "They eat food while listening to explosions? They celebrate life while honoring death," Morrison answered. "That is the human way." Sergeant Davis brought up historical footage on another screen. Images of human ancestors hunting massive predators with primitive spears. Humans building shelters while volcanoes erupted in the background. Humans farming land that flooded regularly, rebuilding after every disaster. "Your species learned to find joy in struggle," observed Sub-Commander Kexmore. "We learned that struggle is joy," Martinez corrected. "Every generation of humans has faced something that tried to destroy them. Predators, empires, diseases, other humans. And every generation chose to fight back instead of giving up." The monitors showed more scenes from around Earth. In some cities, the fireworks formed elaborate pictures in the sky. In others, they created rhythmic patterns that matched music playing on the ground. Everywhere, humans were turning the sounds and sights of warfare into art. "Look at this," Collins called out from her station. She had focused one camera on a small town in America's Midwest. "This is Riverside, population 8,000. Watch what they do." The aliens watched as the tiny town's fireworks display began. It was smaller than the major cities, but every person in the community was participating. Families had brought their own fireworks and were setting them off in coordination with their neighbors. Everyone contributes, Morrison explained. Rich and poor, young and old. The wealthy buy bigger fireworks, the poor buy smaller ones, but everyone participates. No one is left out of the tradition. Thexaval's crystalline skin had shifted to deep purple again. Your entire population has access to explosive devices. Not just access, Davis said with a grin. We encourage it. We teach children how to safely handle fireworks. We have competitions to see who can create the best displays. We spend billions of credits every year just on explosives for celebration. Dr. Martinez pulled up economic data on her screen. The fireworks industry employs millions of humans worldwide. We manufacture explosives specifically for the purpose of celebrating our military history. The Zephyrian warriors stared at the bar numbers in disbelief. The humans had turned the creation of explosive devices into a major economic sector. They mass-produced the tools of warfare so families could use them at parties. This is insane, Vextar whispered. This is human, Morrison replied calmly. The monitors showed celebrations in more remote areas now. Research stations in Antarctica were firing flares into the polar sky. Oil platforms in the middle of oceans were launching fireworks over empty water. Even the International Space Station was visible, firing colored charges into the void. Your scientists celebrate warfare? Kexmore asked. Our scientists are human, Martinez answered. They understand that knowledge exists because someone was willing to fight for the right to seek truth. Every discovery, every breakthrough, every advance in science happened because humans refused to accept limits imposed by others. Collins brought up feeds from human colonies on other worlds. Mars settlements were launching fireworks into the thin atmosphere. Lunar bases were firing charges that created brief flowers of light in the airless sky. Even deep space exploration vessels were participating, their crews setting off celebration rounds in the empty darkness between stars. You carry this tradition to other worlds, Thexaval observed. We carry it everywhere we go, Morrison said. When humans settle a new planet, one of the first things we build is a fireworks factory. When we establish a new colony, the first celebration we plan is Independence Day. Davis laughed at the aliens' expressions. You should see what we do for other holidays. Memorial Day when we honor our war dead. Veterans Day when we celebrate our retired soldiers. Victory Day, Liberation Day, Revolution Day. Humans have more holidays dedicated to warfare than most species have dedicated to everything else combined. The global display was reaching its finale now. Every continent was coordinating for a massive, synchronized burst of fireworks. The timing had to be perfect, with billions of individual explosions happening in sequence as Earth rotated. This requires incredible coordination, Vexitar noted. Military precision, Martinez agreed. We plan this event all year. Every city, every town, every family knows exactly when to fire their fireworks. The logistics involved are comparable to planning a planetary defense operation. Morrison stepped closer to the observation window. War Commander, I want you to understand what you are really seeing. This is not just a celebration. This is a demonstration of human nature. The finale began. Starting from the Eastern Hemisphere and moving west, every human settlement on Earth began firing their largest fireworks simultaneously. The planet lit up like a star, visible from space as a coordinated explosion of light and color. We are showing you that humans have taken our worst memories and turned them into our best traditions, Morrison continued. We have weaponized nostalgia itself. We have made the memory of violence into something that brings families together. The sound was incredible now, transmitted through communication networks and reaching the space station as a continuous roar of celebratory explosions. It sounded like the greatest battle in galactic history, but it was coming from families having picnics. Every child down there is learning that explosions mean joy, Martinez said. Every family is teaching their young that the sounds of warfare represent freedom and celebration. We are programming our species to find happiness in conflict. Thexaval realized the true horror of what he was witnessing. The humans had not just survived on their death world, they had thrived. They had taken everything that should have destroyed them and turned it into sources of strength. They had made warfare into a family tradition. Collins called out the final countdown. 10 seconds to global finale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Every firework on Earth exploded at the same moment. The planet flashed like a supernova, then settled back into its normal appearance as the displays ended. In the sudden quiet that followed, War Commander Thexval and his honor guard stood in complete silence. They had just witnessed an entire species demonstrate their relationship with violence, and it was unlike anything in the galaxy. The humans had not shown them weapons or armies. They had shown them something far more terrifying. They had shown them a species that celebrated war like other beings celebrated peace. The silence in the observation deck was complete. War Commander Thexval and his 6 elite warriors stood frozen, staring down at the Earth as the last echoes of the global fireworks display faded away. Below them, millions of human families were cleaning up the debris from their celebration, laughing and chatting as they packed away the remnants of controlled warfare. For the first time in his military career, Thexval could not speak. His translator made small clicking sounds as it searched for words that did not exist in the Zephyrian language. How could he describe a species that turned the memory of rebellion into a children's holiday? Captain Morrison broke the silence. War Commander, would you like to know about our other traditions? Thexval's crystalline skin shifted to a color his species had no name for. It was beyond fear, beyond confusion. It was the color of a predator realizing it had encountered something far more dangerous than itself. Other traditions? He managed to whisper. Lieutenant Collins pulled up a calendar on the main display. Independence Day is just one of many celebrations throughout the human year. We have Memorial Day in May when we honor all the humans who died in wars. We have Veterans Day in November, when we celebrate the soldiers who survived battles. Sergeant Davis added more holidays to the list. Labor Day celebrates workers who fought for better conditions. Martin Luther King Day honors a human who fought injustice without weapons. President's Day celebrates leaders who guided us through conflicts. Dr. Martinez activated another screen showing celebrations from different human cultures. Bastille Day in France commemorates overthrowing their government. Cinco de Mayo in Mexico celebrates defeating an invading empire. Guy Fawkes Day in Britain honors a failed attempt to blow up their parliament. Sub-Commander Vextar made a choking sound. You celebrate failed rebellions? We celebrate the courage to try, Morrison replied. Win or lose, humans honor those who choose to fight rather than submit. The display showed more human holidays. Chinese New Year with its traditional firecrackers that drove away evil spirits through noise and light. Diwali in India with its festival of lights celebrating good triumphing over evil. Even Christmas included traditions of conflict, with humans singing songs about battles between angels and demons. Your religious celebrations include warfare, observed Sub-Commander Kexmore. Everything human includes warfare, Martinez explained, calmly. Our sports are simulated battles. Our games teach strategy and conflict. Our entertainment focuses on heroes fighting against impossible odds. We have made conflict the central theme of our entire culture. Thexval found his voice again, though it came out as a croak. Why? Morrison considered the question carefully. Because conflict is how humans grow. Every challenge we have faced has made us stronger. Every enemy we have defeated has taught us something new. Every war we have survived has prepared us for the next one. Collins brought up footage from human sporting events. Football games where armored players crashed into each other while crowds cheered. Boxing matches where humans fought for entertainment. Motor racing where drivers risked death for glory. Even your recreation is violent, Vextar noted with horror. Our recreation prepares us for violence, Davis corrected. Every human child learns competitive games. We teach them that winning requires effort, that losing builds character, that the greatest victories come from overcoming the greatest challenges. The monitors showed human schools where children played games like Capture the Flag, Dodgeball, and King of the Hill. Even their educational system was built around simulated conflict. You train your young for warfare, Kexmore said. We train our young for life, Morrison replied. And on a death world, life is warfare. Not always against other species, but against everything that tries to stop us from becoming what we choose to be. Dr. Martinez pulled up historical data about human migration patterns. Look at how humans spread across Earth. We did not find empty, safe places to live. We conquered the most dangerous environments on the planet. Deserts, Arctic regions, mountain peaks, ocean islands. Everywhere life was hardest, that is where humans chose to go. The aliens watched footage of humans living in environments that would kill most galactic species within hours. Eskimos thriving in frozen wastelands, Bedouins crossing burning deserts, mountain climbers ascending peaks where the air was too thin to breathe. You seek out danger, Thexval observed. We seek out growth, Morrison corrected. Danger is just the price we pay for becoming stronger. Collins announced that cleanup was beginning on Earth's surface. The monitors showed human families collecting spent firework casings, sweeping up debris and preparing for the next day's activities. Children were already asking their parents when they could buy fireworks for next year's celebration. They are planning for the next recreation of warfare, Vexistar whispered. They are planning for the next celebration of courage, Davis said. This is not about war, Commander. This is about the human refusal to accept limits. Morrison stepped closer to the aliens. Every firework you saw tonight represents a choice. The choice to fight rather than surrender. The choice to risk everything rather than accept slavery. The choice to pass that memory down to our children, so they will make the same choice when their time comes. The Zephyrian warriors were beginning to understand the true scope of what they had witnessed. This was not just a military demonstration. This was a species-wide commitment to a philosophy that was completely alien to galactic civilization. Your entire population has been programmed for warfare, Thexval said. Our entire population has been programmed for victory, Morrison replied. The difference is important. Martinez brought up the final piece of data that broke the aliens' composure entirely. It was a recording of human children singing a traditional song about their flag. The lyrics spoke of bombs bursting in air, rockets glaring red, and the banner of freedom flying over the battle's end. Your children sing about explosives, Kexmore said in a voice barely above a whisper. Our children sing about the beauty of refusing to quit, Morrison answered. The song continued with young human voices cheerfully celebrating the sounds of warfare. To the aliens, it sounded like a species teaching its offspring to find joy in violence. To the humans, it was a lullaby about courage. Thexval made his decision. He activated his communication device and opened a channel to the Zephyrian High Command. High Command, this is War Commander Thexval reporting from the human Deathworld system. Report, War Commander. Are the humans suitable for annexation? Thexval looked around the observation deck at the calm, smiling humans who had just demonstrated their species' relationship with warfare. Then he looked at his own warriors, the proudest fighters in the galaxy, who stood paralyzed by what they had witnessed. Negative, High Command. Do not attempt to conquer the humans. Repeat, do not attempt conquest operations against this species. Explain. Thexval struggled to find words that would convey the horror of his discovery. The humans have weaponized their own culture. They have turned the memory of resistance into a family tradition. They celebrate warfare like we celebrate peace. They teach their children to find joy in the sounds of battle. There was a long pause from High Command. War Commander, are you reporting that the humans are a military threat? I am reporting that the humans are something we have never encountered before. They are a species that has made courage into a genetic trait. They are Deathworlders who celebrate the fact that everything tries to kill them. Morrison approached the communication station. War Commander, may I speak to your superiors? Thexval nodded, too stunned to object. Morrison activated the transmitter. Greetings, Zephyrian High Command. This is Captain Jake Morrison representing the human species. We want you to know that the display you witnessed tonight was just one of our smaller traditions. Wait until you see what we do for Memorial Day. The communication channel went silent. Morrison smiled and turned back to the paralyzed aliens. War Commander, we hope this has been educational. We look forward to peaceful relations with the Galactic Federation. Thexval and his warriors left the station without another word. The report they filed became legendary throughout the galaxy. Species classification, Deathworlders who have made tradition out of choosing the hard path. Recommendation, give them whatever they want. The humans were never bothered by galactic conquest fleets again. Word spread quickly through the Federation that Earth was populated by beings who celebrated war like a family reunion and taught their children to sing about explosions. Some things, the galaxy learned, were too dangerous to fight.